you. Let me show you. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is MarianneLipari, and my talk is about exploring the expression of color through light and harmony. Today I'd like to introduce the idea of my thesis, which was the topic of color in watercolor painting. There were three areas of color usage that I studied in particular. One was color and light to create atmosphere. The second was color relationships that create harmony in painting. And the third was to express emotion through a scene, through color expression in a scene. I'm sorry, my notes are a little up here, just a sec. Anyway, so the third one was about expressing emotion through a scene and showing the mood or feeling of that scene. In the visual arts, we use color quite often, and often these symptoms or these functions overlap. We use the color to heighten the sense of space and depth in a picture, and that creates subtle shifts in value. We use color for color temperature, which also creates variety and depth in the picture. There we go. We use color to have, oops, sorry, I'm a little low tech. We use color to heighten the sense of space and depth in the picture plane by shifting value. And we use color to identify superficial characteristics in a picture. That's one of many functions. Oops. There we go. Here's a sample of just one of many, many color studies I did to try to understand the art of watercolor and glazing. Here I started with all the warm colors underneath, and then eventually added the cool colors right down to see how that glazed one over the other to make beautiful new combinations. Color can also give direction in our compositions, and later I learned a lot of that in our art analysis class in the program. Now I'm going to talk a little about watercolor as a medium in personal expression. Here I am in my little studio at home. I got a great view out the window. Watercolor is the perfect medium for me to express my own interests. I love the freshness of it. The color is beautiful and rich, and it's easy to carry. The watercolor is so plentiful to mix with it. Water to mix with it. The white of the paper becomes the most light value, so you have to be conscious of that. And watercolor just conveys this beautiful vividness and the subtlety of light. It has a strength in creating harmonious color relationships, and also it gives expressive and emotional characteristic techniques to draw the viewer into the picture. It's all practice, so easy. There we go. Now when I enter the program, I had a little catching up to do. I was a little rusty. I had done a lot of drawing, I'd done some watercolor painting, but I decided to choose watercolor as my medium. And now suddenly you're in the studio and you have to decide what to do. So first thing I thought was, well, I really want to represent color. I want to discover how to show color in watercolor. So I went out and I went actually into my fridge and found some things that I had. And some of those were peppers, carrots, eggplant, red onions, things like that. And I started to just build simple still lifes. This whole year, this whole first semester, I studied still life. So what I was trying to do there is just get a grasp of how to represent color through brush stroke, color, and value, and how to show light by leaving the white of the paper, how to build form in the objects, and just how to organize a composition. I can't say this was my best composition, it was one of my first, but I learned a lot from it, so it means a lot to me. Here I am moving into another painting. in the summer session, and there was a farmer's market that most people from the area know about. So I went and got some beautiful peppers and mangoes, and again I continued to work with still life and range composition. I enjoyed again working with the color, light, and shadow, and just building more interesting compositions. Oops. Okay. Sorry, trying to go forward here. Looking at that. There we go. Got it. Okay, one of my first influences was the artist Anne Apgott. Anne Apgott is a beautiful watercolorist. She's a member of the American Watercolor Association. And one of the things that I found most interesting about her work is how vivid and rich her color was. And one of the ways that she does that is by using warm and cool values of color in the same situation. Like in this flower, she'll go from a cool yellow to a warm yellow orange and back to the cool, and she keeps building value and depth through this constant interplay of value. She also wrote a beautiful book called Daring Color, which I learned a lot from studying that. Sorry, I'm not so good with the Mac here. Whoops. Okay, and here we are at the end of the first semester, summer semester, and I kind of wanted to finish big. So I brought in these beautiful hydrangeas, and Marcus and his wife Eileen, who's a watercolorist, helped me set up this still life with the right lighting, and I was pretty good at those peppers by now and the lemons, and I just loved capturing the color in these objects. So I thought I'm going to try it in a vase with reflection. I brought in a kitchen towel, and everything seemed to go beautifully. I used some of Anne Apgott's ideas with the warm and cool colors in the purple hydrangea. And then I came to the background, and I thought, what am I going to do with that background? And I thought, well, I'm not sure. So Marcus challenged me. He said, why don't you go dark, go really dark? And I'm really a light to mid-tone person. And I'm like, I'm afraid. So, but I tried it, and I thought, you know, I got nothing to lose. I'm going to give it a try. And I just put that rich black dark in there, and I have to say, I was really surprised by the outcome. It really was an amazing contrast that gave so much more depth to the picture, that gave the pastel colors, that brought them forward. The contrast was just wonderful. And I'm glad I took that little risk. Now I'm in the spring semester, the second year, 2014, and I continued with my fruit and vegetable theme, but more particularly focused on fruit because we were told to make a series of 15 things, and I thought, well, it's warm weather, it's summer, and I love all that beautiful, juicy color from all the fruits, and I'd like to get some of that in my compositions. So the other thing I had were these beautiful Italian plates, which I love. They're all naturally hand-painted. Some of them I painted myself, and others I collected. And I used this vivid color and tried to represent that watermelon. And going from one thing to the next was an exciting challenge, cantaloupe and all kinds of different fruit. And one of the last things was continuing that project of 15, and I thought, well, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to take a bigger thing, and I'm just going to cut it up into sections, but try to paint each section as a separate composition and really try to make it stand on its own. So I went from strawberries to raspberries to watermelon to pineapple to cantaloupe or honeydew, whatever. And I really enjoyed the change of textures and colors, and I was starting to gain more confidence in how to use paint and how to apply color. And I was feeling much better at the end here and getting ready for the summer course. So then came upon the summer course, and I decided, I wasn't sure what to do. I'd done enough fruits and vegetables for a lifetime. So I decided I need to find another subject. So I thought, well, I was talking to Jason Beretta, my instructor. He said, why don't we go take a walk, and you can take your camera and just take some pictures. And since I love color, of course, I gravitated to some of these beautiful flowers that were all over the area. There was some by the cathedral, some by the park. And so I thought, I'll start taking those pictures. And I actually found it kind of a really neat, interesting challenge because the color kind of varied with the light, and the greenery offered a lot of interesting challenge to try to paint different kinds of greens, darks, lights, different values, and then incorporating something in the background added a third element that made the picture more interesting to me. One of my other classic artists that I've always loved for watercolors is watercolors Winslow Homer. Winslow Homer has very dynamic color principles. He uses a lot, surprised me really in my research, he uses a lot of complementary colors in his compositions to make very bold, vivid colors, but also to make soft, subtle colors. And not only did I love his landscape, but I just loved his color theory. I found it very effective. So the other thing I enjoyed was that he was really skilled at using watercolor and experimenting with everything. And one of the things he did was to use color in 3 different ways. He used transparent color, like in the clouds and the skies. He used semi-transparent, say in some of the mid-tone areas. And he also used opaque color, made it very dense and dark, such as in the dark shadows. And that was a wonderful thing to study for me. And that led me to this picture, Purple Petunias in the Purple. That was one of my summer pictures. And in this, before I started this picture, I had attended a workshop by Professor Jackie Gleisner on color. And there too, I learned more about color relationships. And one of the things she tried to teach us was to take either a complement set, a triad, or a tetrad of colors, which would be 4 colors. In this case, it was yellow, green, blue, violet, red, violet, and yellow, orange. And to bring that, to concentrate on those 4 colors, I put them in the composition. And what I was surprised by is how easily everything worked together in the picture. How I could get all the colors kind of played off each other, and nothing didn't work. Every color worked together. Every color harmonized. And also gave me a great chance to work again with the transparent, the semi-transparent, and then the darker, opaque in the shadow, just like I learned with Winslow Homer. Part of my research for my thesis included reading and checking out authors who had ideas about color. And Betty Edwards, Dr. Betty Edwards surprised me. She'd done a book about drawing from the right side of the brain, teaching skills for drawing. But I had no idea she'd invested in the idea of color. As a college professor, she found her students weren't doing very well with color, and she needed to teach them techniques for mixing colors. So again, here was more reinforcement about the importance of color relationships and how everything has to work together to create color harmony in paintings. One of the things I especially liked was her discussion about the dullest intensities of color. Again, I really don't love dark colors, but I was very impressed that she said the dullest intensities are the ones you have to have because people avoid them, and everything looks too light or too mid-tone and it's not grounded. So here, in this next picture, called Florals in the Whiskey Barrel, I employed that concept. I, of course, fell in love with the bright colors of the flowers, and I loved the way the light fell on the vine there. And I kept that white paper showing, but I, of course, normally would have just kept that light ground there. But then I read the book and I studied the ideas of harmonious color, and I realized I needed that dull intensity in the background. Without that part of the painting, it's all bright. It's all too bright, and it just has no depth. So this affirmed for me the importance of dull intensities. George O'Keeffe, of course, is an artist that I've always loved. Like many people, I enjoyed her work in college. But even as I progressed in the program, I realized that she had a lot to teach me about not just keen observation of something, such as these beautiful flowers, but a multitude of rich and varied color that she used. Is that it's just the bolder color and the softer color, and it just really reinforced the way I like to paint and everything I was learning. Kay Cantor's another artist that comes way back from my childhood. When I was in high school, I had to make a portfolio, and I wasn't sure where to go, where to attend class, and one of my friends said, "You've got to call Kay Cantor. She's a great teacher. She teaches out of her home." And she was a very well-known watercolor artist in the area. So she helped me with my portfolio, great portfolio of drawing mostly. But at the time, I looked at her watercolors, and I noticed she had her studio there, and I was absolutely fascinated by not just the varied richness of her color and the subtlety and delicacy, but also the beautiful atmospheric light that she had. She just would create this depth of scene with this floating light, and I just became fascinated by it. And I thought, I think I can do that. That's amazing to me. I want to learn how. So then it came into our third year of the residency, and I decided to try landscape for a change. I'd done still life, I'd done floral, and I'd always loved landscape, and I really wanted to go back to it. And I had taken this picture of my backyard. It's one of those beautiful fall days with an early morning when the light comes flooding through the trees, and you just want to paint it. You just want to paint it. It's so beautiful. And it floated down the hill there. And the other thing I was fascinated with is kind of that mystery of that darker area. I'd attended a watercolor workshop with the New England watercolor artist, Susan Weintraub. And one thing she taught me was to do value paintings and remember valuing your picture. So that dark area, which I probably would have passed over before, became important to me. I knew I had to have that in the picture. So that light just floats through but doesn't touch all parts of the wood and goes down the hill. Now, one of my other classic artists is Joan Singer Sargent. And this is Corfu Lights and Shadows, a beautiful painting that illustrates a variety of beautiful color, and especially, more importantly, his amazing expressive brushstroke. By the time I got into the landscapes, I was realizing that I wanted to be more expressive in my paintings. I wanted to show color, and I wanted to show moods and ideas in my landscapes. And the spontaneity he had with his brushstrokes, the simplicity of and there's your shadow, was just so fascinating to me. So I loved his work, and I went and painted this painting. This painting was also done in my backyard. It was a winter scene about 2 in the afternoon. The light was coming from the left, and what I loved about this is how these amazing true blue shadows showed up on my snowy backyard. It wasn't like the kind I usually see in watercolor paintings where they're kind of a dullish blue. It was like this beautiful blue that was just singing to me, saying, paint me. So not only did I paint it, but I caught that light in the left corner, but I think I did a good job with the textural brush strokes I added, which seemed to mimic some of the feeling that's in Joan Singer Sargent. This one picture is sums up on the Golden Dome. The Golden Dome is a landmark at the University of Notre Dame. My husband went to Notre Dame, and I went to St. Mary's College across the street. My son goes to Notre Dame, my daughter went to Notre Dame, so it's a big family affair. So this dome has symbolized a lot to us, and we've marveled at the beauty of this symbol at all hours of the day and night. It's so beautifully colored, and with the time of day and the lighting, it's just a beautiful thing to capture. So I worked here with something I learned with the art analysis class, which was a triad of colors to create importance in the dome. So what I did is I used blue sky, some pink sky, and then the yellow of the dome. And those three colors together, as I learned in art analysis, brings importance to your subject. And then I tried to fade out the bottom. I didn't totally love that, but I did like the way it all came. Here's another picture I took as we were walking back to my college, St. Mary's College, later at night. And I wanted, again, to keep exploring the idea of mood in work, mood in this particular one, I loved the drama. I wanted to say, hey, I've never really done a good silhouette, I've never done darkness, and I've never done a depth like that, where you're kind of wondering what's in that scene. So I thoroughly enjoyed playing with the light blues and greens in the front and then working in that depth and making that sunset resonate back there. And trying to represent that idea of mystery and drama. I'd gone to the beach in the previous fall, and of course I started to take some of these pictures from my own collection of photographs. And this particular one, I just love the idea of trying to, first of all, for the ocean, to try to paint the three areas of the real water flowing, then that mid area where it's kind of low tide and the water just glistens there, and then the front area where the sand is kind of thick and deep. And the other thing was to have that beautiful subject of the dog and their owners right there where that light glistened. I thought, I've got to try this one. So I really enjoyed doing that, and I learned a lot about changes in color from one section of water to another. That midsection has a higher intensity in the lower, and that just accentuated that light in the middle. Yeah, Joyce Hicks was another artist that I studied. Joyce Hicks really, to me, opened a big door in thinking about expressive painting. She's an artist that practiced. She wrote a book called Beautiful Watercolor Landscapes, and her idea was to take a scene, especially with sort of architectural elements, and add color that she felt exemplified and brought the right mood to that area, the right symbolism. So in this particular picture, what's of course unique is the purple road, and I loved it though. I thought it worked. There was a lot of color harmony there. There's a lot of depth, and I love the idea that she freely expressed color in her paintings, no politics. So, here is a picture of my final picture before the semester this year. This is a picture of my mom's backyard. I've seen this scene so many times that it's like in my mind, in my memory, and right around 4 or 5 o'clock, the light, the color is amazing. The trees just seem to glisten, and the light flows through, and it's just, to me, it's an enchanting place. I wanted to try to capture that, and I knew that I wanted that focal point to be that light on that shed. So some of the things I did were some of the things I learned along the way, which was to use cool color coming in instead of warm, to bring to the warm subject, to create the most importance and focus on that, and then to have that soft, floaty light effect at the top. As I said, this place has a lot of happy memories for me, and I really wanted the viewer to share those memories and to kind of get a sense of what this place is like. My school closed 2 weeks before I started this year, but I've always loved teaching, and the joy of working with children is unmatched. And one of the things that I realized through the program that it taught me was that I've become an artist through the program, but I realized if I look at my students as if they're artists, not as if I have to get this lesson done, don't forget the curriculum, don't forget the standards, all those checkpoints. If I keep remembering they're artists and I let them have that freedom, then they will really become the people they should be with art. And of course, being an artist isn't for everyone, but creating art and being creative is for everyone. and learning to solve creative problems is a skill that will take you your whole life. So I look forward to finding another job and continuing my teaching. So in summary, it's been quite a long experience, but a wonderful one. I think I've grown tremendously, and I've gained so much knowledge about our education, so much knowledge about art through the grace of our wonderful faculty. And I've learned to love watercolor more than ever, and realized that it just continues to challenge me. I realized along the way that I've only just begun, really. There's so much more to paint. So I'm looking forward to that, and I just feel that through this course I really found my voice. And I realize that's not an easy thing to do, but I've done it. So thank you very much.